Welcome, everyone, to This Beautiful Life. This is the podcast where I interview everyday normal people and find out who they are and how they see the world and how their life has informed their worldview. This podcast is an attempt to counterbalance a social media narrative that divides us into echo chambers where we only listen to the people who already think like us, and other people are considered the enemy. This podcast is an exercise in empathy, an exploration of the human condition. It is where we listen and we learn and we try not to judge. On this week's episode, I would like to introduce you to Erin. Erin is an off-grid tiny house unschooler just like me, which is really fun. It's great to find another one of me in the wild. So this is a really good conversation. I think you're going to like it. If you end up commenting on this video, please keep in mind that Erin and I are both real people. Try not to say anything online that you wouldn't say directly to our faces like a civilized human being. Without further ado, enjoy the podcast.
I'll try and get some more light in here. Yeah. We're relegated to our sauna, bathroom, kind of laundry area, but there's no power. We don't have any lights in here, so.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's no kids in here, so it works.
Yeah. You gotta choose your battles.
That's it. I'll take the dark and the quiet.
All right.
Yeah,
so,
is that gonna be okay?
Yeah, that looks fine. We obviously don't aim for perfection here in any way whatsoever.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
So tell me, just give me the rundown. Who are you?
All right. Well, I'm also Erin, and I live in Northwest Ontario. So about 2 hours from the Manitoba border. We're pretty far west. Hi. And we have a property of about 200 acres. And we live off-grid in a very small cabin, a little 12 by 24, which we're hoping to add on to. But before I got here, I was born in Ottawa, Ontario, in 1982. And we lived right sort of just west of downtown, a very blue-collar family. My dad's a drywaller. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. I have an older sister and a younger brother. And had a pretty standard life there. For my first few years, we lived in a housing co-op, which was wonderful. It's like
lots of families.
Geared to. No, it was just a low income. It was a weird thing. There was a rich dude named Hendrikus Molinar, who, when he died, he used his funds to create this housing cooperative. So it was two streets that were named after him, and it was rent to income housing options.
Okay.
So it was a lot of newcomers, a lot of really low income folks. We were able to get in because my dad did some drywalling during the construction. So he was able to get a house for us. And so we lived in that housing co-op up until I was 18. And it was wonderful. You know, we were a very tight-knit community. We did a lot of, every year we would have loads of soil delivered and everyone would do their gardening and, kids running wild, kind of small dead-end street with a park at the end. It was lovely. We had a big hydro field behind us that seemed like, the wild forest, like climbing hydro towers in the 80s. And yeah, just having a blast. So it was a very free and outdoorsy childhood, like so many of us who grew up in those years. And then my brother was born, my mother started to have what we called like nervous breakdowns. So she was having mental health issues and spending time in hospital. And my father had always been a bit of a wild card. They had my mom was very Catholic and my dad was a little party animal. And she got pregnant, it just scandalized her family, got pregnant out of wedlock. And so they did get married, and they had my sister got married shortly after my sister was born, and then had me a few years later. So it was a bit of a funny situation where my dad had never really grown up. He continued to party. He's been a lifelong drinker, a bit of a rough around the edges type. And my mom was just like a very gentle, kind of a hippie, just wanted to be a mom and a homemaker. And the marriage inevitably fell apart. And a lot of her past issues came up in these like mental health episodes. Yeah. And eventually my dad left. My brother was about 3, so I must have been about 9, I suppose. And so from then on, my mom raised us as a single mother on disability support income, so like a really low income.
Yeah.
So thank goodness for the housing co-op, because our rent, I think we had a 4-bedroom house for under $500 a month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was incredible. So we were able to be well housed, even though we had this really low income. But my dad stayed part of my life. And so we kind of navigated that as best we could, with mom being hospitalized a lot and just doing our best. My sister and brother didn't finish school. I managed to finish high school. My sister had her own struggles as well. We just had a bit of a rough time in those teenage years. But I loved horses. And so we didn't have money for me to be part of a horse's life. And we lived in a city. But I managed to get a job, so I would work weekends in exchange for time with the horses and riding.
Awesome.
So that was kind of my,
your foot in the door. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was a really wonderful, I guess, like emotional support through all those turbulent times. So it was a real nice, safe place. I'd always been a horse crazy kid, and so I was able to do that throughout my teenage years and into my early 20s. They were a big part of my life. I'm going on so many like side trails here. I'm like, wait,
that's all right.
What do you want me to
side trails are the best.
Yeah, but it really instilled this, like, I knew I wanted to have a farm. I knew I wanted horses. I knew I wanted to be out of the city, even, having that time spent out on the farm every weekend. I knew the city wasn't for me. Yeah. So eventually I followed some rabbit trail. I did some university. I studied anthropology and Indigenous studies. Yeah. And then I went to Nunavut to do master's research.
Oh, wow.
And while I was, I was, the advisor who took me on in my master's was researching place names and trails across the Arctic.
Huh.
So I was his research assistant, and I geared my thesis sort of towards that. So I wanted to study how, like, kids in the hamlets or in the towns who weren't able to get out on the land very much, like how the towns were crisscrossed and place names and how it reflected, this broader network across the whole Arctic. But I realized I didn't really fit into that academic environment. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel I didn't feel it was effective. I don't feel it was as connected to the people and places I wanted to be. It was this weird distanced kind of analysis rather than engaging as...
Yeah, it's called the Ivory Tower for a reason, right?
Yeah, totally. So despite all of that, I worked at the high school. I was kind of looking for things to do. And so I volunteered at the high school and did some substitute teaching. And so I decided to leave my master's program and go into teacher's college.
Okay.
So I went into teacher's college in Thunder Bay because I knew I didn't want to be in Ottawa anymore. And Thunder Bay is a smaller city. And in the north, I knew I needed trees. None of it was incredible, but I missed the trees a lot.
Yeah.
So again, I took a remote community placement for my last teacher's placement. So I went up to a little tiny town called Pickle Lake.
Okay.
And it's about 300 people. At the end, it's got the most northerly highway. So the highway it's on, it's at the end of the road.
Okay, so you could actually drive to it.
You could actually drive to it, yeah. And I guess it's the most northern road in Ontario.
Okay,
it's as far as north as you can get on a road in Ontario.
That's awesome.
And so I did my placement there, and then I got a job in a fly-in reserve community north of that. So I decided to stay for the summer. I got a job as a waitress and had a lot of fun. It was a really fun summer. And they have a forest firefighter base up there. And so, like, very attractive people descend upon this little town in their, like, firefighting outfits and go off in helicopters to fight forest fires. And I met one of them I really connected with, and he is now my husband.
Okay.
So, so we met there. I taught on the reserve for a little while. I taught in Pickle Lake for a little while. And then we knew we wanted a farm. That dream was still a big part of my life. And Pickle Lake was too far north for farming.
Yeah.
So we started to look around northwestern Ontario. They call it the Clover Belt. It's this beautiful the drive between here and our nearest city of Dryden. It looks, at some points you'd think you were in like pastoral England. Oh. Just like beautiful rolling hills, and a lot of agriculture here for several generations. There was a lot of dairy farming. There's a lot of hay and, a few crops like oats can grow here.
Okay.
But a really, really strong little agricultural community. So we were looking around here. We contacted a real estate agent. We looked at places, and then she told us about this property, and it's a dump, and it's, it literally a dump. It had like school buses and old cars and mattresses, and it was literally a dump, but it had been foreclosed on. So if the person who owned it didn't make a mortgage payment, we could make an offer to the bank, and we managed to get it for under $60,000 for this 200-acre property.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it has all these free resources.
I know.
A bus?
So many schools. Yeah, it was great. Yeah. It's still a mess. We got a lot of the scrap hauled away.
So how long have you had the property for?
We bought it in 2017.
Okay.
About 6 months before my first son was born. So, yes, we bought it in 2017, and Justin, my husband, decided to leave firefighting and to get a trade. So we moved to Manitoba. We rented a house there, and he went into an apprenticeship. He's from Manitoba.
Okay.
So he went into an apprenticeship there, and so between 2017 and 2021, we had 3 kids, and he did an apprenticeship, and we worked on this place as much as we could.
Well, that's busy.
It was really busy. Yeah, it was really busy. And then finally by, I think it was April 2024, we moved out here full time. Okay. So we're approaching our 2-year anniversary of living here full time.
Yeah.
So that's,
Wow.
The coal's melt.
Okay, so many things. Tell me a little bit about living in a northern town, like in a fly-in community. I have a friend who did the same thing. He was a teacher, and he taught in Pikangikum, which was... Oh, yeah? Yeah, in the summer it's fly-in, and in the winter you can drive across the lakes to get to it. Yes, the winter roads here. I'm actually, when I open my weather app, it pings me as Pikangikum. They're just northwest of us. Okay. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I loved it. I taught in a community called Wunneman Lake. Okay. And it was a really unique experience, but it was a wonderful experience too. We all hear with good reason about like some of the terrible impacts of colonialism in reserve communities. And it's true, that's not to like take away from the harm and the healing that people are doing, but it's also just like this incredible experience of connectedness that I never really grew up with. Our families were kind of dispersed. Yeah. We didn't, to know people so well, to go so far back with people, to have so many stories, to know the land so well. It was a really incredible experience. Yeah. And there was this sense of, it's a beautiful and impressive landscape, and just walking around out there, it's humbling, it's really calming. I think it was the first time I wasn't feeling like this wound tight anxiety that I just wrote off as my personality, but just a way of approaching relationships and education. The school environment was really lovely, and it really prioritized like well-being, and this more of the, I still can't get used to substitute teaching out here. They have to call me Mrs. Cummings or Mrs. Henry. Right. They're not allowed to call me by the first name, and that's so weird. It's like, but I'm just Erin, They can just call me Erin. No, you need to be an authority figure. Oy. But in the school affairs, it's just Erin, and we could chat, and we'd hang out and have pizza, and Yeah. It was great. We had some the terrible things happened too. There were 2 house fires while I was there. Where children had passed in the fires, and it's just creosote buildup in these tiny prefab houses. And, right. And there was a break-in at my house at one point that was kind of scary, but it wasn't enough to make me feel unsafe. Yeah. It wasn't. It was wonderful. I still run into people sometimes because
all the flying communities, they come for hockey tournaments. They have little bands, like a hockey tournament where all the communities come together in Dryden. So I run into people in the parking lot of the grocery store that I haven't seen since being there, and it's just wonderful. That's wonderful to reconnect. And it's been years since I was there.
Yeah,
but
that's awesome.
It was expensive.
Oh yeah,
expensive. The food is unreal. The cost of groceries is unreal, and the winter roads are a real boon because people can go out with the truck and come back with loads and loads of toilet paper and dry goods and everything, and try and stock up because it's $100 for a bag of dog food, and I had 2 dogs.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a lot, but they're working on a hydro line to the communities now because they're all on oil heat.
Oh, wow.
For the bigger,
that would get really expensive.
Yeah, and if the planes couldn't get in, which often happened in the winter, you can't heat the school, you couldn't get the oil topped up.
Oh, wow.
And the winter roads now with climate change, they're so inconsistent.
Yeah.
So you can't, the season's quite short, and you can't always bring the big trucks out anymore, and it depends on the community and how much water they have to cross and how much bog and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty incredible. It's my favorite place in the whole world, this boreal forest, this northwestern corner of Ontario.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's just, yeah.
So where you are now, is there much of a community there? Like you went from such a community feel, where you are now still has that?
Yeah, we're more dispersed. Like my nearest neighbors are not visible. I could walk there, but it would take me 30 or 40 minutes.
Okay.
But yeah, this used to be an agricultural area and a big sawmill area. So yeah, the people, our neighbors, we were just visiting a neighbor down the road from us, and they go back several generations, everyone around here. And a lot of the community is much older now, but there's an incredible sense of community, and everyone helps out. I went off the road the other day. On our road, it's been very slippy, and we have bad tires. It was a pretty big ditch, and I called a neighbor I'd never met before, but I knew he had heavy equipment, and they got their big old 1970s skidder plugged in and heated up, and managed to come. They tried a few different machines and were able to finally get the truck out. Just spent their whole day trying to get this truck out, and that's just the neighbors we have. They're always checking in on us. They'll bring us free, our neighbors have a sawmill, and any offcuts of wood they bring to us and just give us for free. And
that's very cool.
Yeah, we feel really welcome here, and everyone's excited because we're farming, and their parents and grandparents farmed here, but no one's been farming here for a couple of years, a generation or two.
Yeah.
So everyone's excited that we're here with kids, that we're here to farm.
Yeah. What was the cleaning up to get your property to a place where you could farm it?
It's still pretty bad. We're still working on it. We've actually used the animals a little bit to help, because so much is piles under massive brambles of raspberries and fireweed, and it looks like a little hill covered in plant life, and then winter comes and you realize it's actually a stack of tires and scrap metal. So we've run pigs twice now in 2 different spots, and they take down all the vegetation and root things up, and so we're able to clean up just little bits at a time. We had a scrap team come out to clean up this site where our cabin is now.
Yeah.
But it's still pretty intense. You want to dig a post hole for a fence, and you might hit an engine block that's just buried under, several years worth of grass and dirt, and it's intense.
Yeah. So is it the whole property has garbage on it, or is it sort of concentrated in one area, or?
It was mainly concentrated in the front, I'd say 5 acres. But
just 5 acres.
Yeah, just 5 acres. But then we walk, around the property, and you're in this beautiful, they also clear cut it about 20 years ago. Okay. So after the person, it was a dairy farming family, and then the son who inherited it was kind of a bad dude. I've heard terrible stories about, this was a weird place for a few years, but he's the one who ended up kind of collecting and making it a junkyard. And then his son inherited it, and he had it clear cut about 20 years ago. So a lot of the forest is just coming back. So it's not like the intact boreal all around us. It's a lot of meadow and a little bit of boggy areas, so a lot of rolling landscape. We've got a beaver pond at one end of the property. And so we're able to walk. It's at, you know, you'll be in the back bush where the trees start to get big and you find, like an overturned boat on top of a big oil tank with tires all around it. So it's everywhere. But
I guess with 200 acres, you know, you can't, I imagine you haven't been on every single spot of your property. Like there's still places you've never been.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially with kids, because like right now it's great for walking, but the snow is so deep. They can't make it very far.
Yeah.
So our hikes are quite small and quite localized so far. Justin's been a little further afield, but yeah, there's so many places we still have to explore. There's a massive cliff face that we just came across by accident on one corner of the property, and there's like a sand pit where they used to pull out dirt for the road building.
Yeah.
So there's these big sand hills, and we're gonna go tobogganing there as soon as we can. Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool.
It's an adventure for sure.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, but it's beautiful too. Just gorgeous landscape around here, and yeah, we love it. Lots of wildlife.
So you built your house yourselves?
Kind of. My mom passed away in 2012. And we didn't think she had any life insurance or anything of the sort. But then in 2020, I was contacted by a life insurance rep. He had inherited all these files from a fellow who had retired. And he realized my mom hadn't paid her premium in 8 years. And he found my name as like a beneficiary and called me and said, "Did you know she has some life insurance?" So it wasn't much, but it worked out to be about $5,000 each for my siblings and I. And it was just as COVID had hit. So Justin was laid off of work, and we were kind of more intensely thinking like, well, what better time than now? And we found a cabin. He had just done the shell. So he had framed it and roofed it and put windows and door in, but and it was on skids, and he was selling that for $3,000.
Okay.
So we bought this 12 by 24 cabin shell from this guy. And then we used the rest of the money to rent a truck and a trailer and get our permits to transport it from Manitoba to here. So that's how we got it here. And then we just learned as we went and finished it. So we insulated it and put flooring in.
Okay.
And most of it we got from renovations. Like his auntie was renovating her house, so we got her old flooring. And we found an old used wood stove. And just kind of put it all together. We built a Murphy bed. So we have our bed comes down from the walls, and the boys have little couches that convert. They fold out into single beds.
Okay.
So right now we just have our big Murphy bed folds down, the boys' beds fold out, and then our youngest has a little bed up on a frame. And it's so cold in that corner of the house that we put a little skirt around it, and it's our fridge in the winter. So we like store our milk and cheese and eggs under there.
That's handy.
It's super handy. I think you have a cold floor fridge too, right?
Yeah, I do, yeah. Just to tuck it in this chilly area over here, yeah.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's like, we have refrigeration. Because we're very rustically off-grid too. We're doing this on a really small income. We really are favoring like a slower pace of life and doing as much as we can the stuff we want to do.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to make a lot of money. So everything we're doing on a real shoestring budget and without debt, which is wonderful.
Yeah,
we managed to pay off the land pretty quick because I was teaching full time at the time. So we were able to just intensively pay that off within the year. So
wow,
our taxes are tiny. I think $550 a year in taxes.
That's wonderful. So how much of the skills that you need for the life that you're living did you already have, and how many of them are you just figuring it out as you go?
That's such a great question. Almost all of them we're figuring out as we go. I think some of the skills I worked on, especially during that limbo period in Manitoba when I had all these little babies and we were renting, was the cooking from scratch.
Okay.
And so like starting to buy ingredients in bigger quantities, which was so much of a cost savings. and cooking simple meals from scratch. I've always been really interested in local food. So even on a small income, we still try to buy from local producers wherever possible.
Yeah.
So that was a huge one that I'm grateful I learned, but I had to relearn it because now we're cooking on wood heat and things, so it's like
a whole new skill.
A whole new skill. Yeah, a whole new skill, which is wonderful too. I'm learning so much about what wood burns hot and fast, that's good for frying, and what wood, you put on at night to keep it going during the night. And so we're learning a lot as we go. Justin's learning a lot of building as he goes. The place I'm in now has three of the walls are straw bale, so we're experimenting a little bit. Yeah, with different building. We're zoned as an unorganized territory.
Okay.
So I think it's unique to Ontario. Perhaps some other provinces have it too, but there's no municipal government here. So officially you can't get building permits because you don't have a municipal government to issue them.
Okay.
So we're still officially beholden to the Ontario Building Code, but there's no one to issue permits and there's no one to check if you've got permits.
Okay.
Except for digging a well and septic.
Okay.
And our well was already here and we're composting our waste. We're not using septic. So we're able to experiment a little bit with different natural building techniques and things like that. Yeah. But that's one of the coolest things, I think, is just watching. I think when we moved out here, we were always looking to other people to be the expert, to tell us what to do. And then you realize there is help available, but you really have to be willing to just dive in, try it, be intelligent about what you're doing, take the advice of experienced people, but ultimately just give it a try. And if it doesn't work, then you've learned that didn't work and you try something different.
Yeah.
So a lot of trial and error. And at least we're building cheaply. We're not making huge mistakes with expensive materials.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been...
Describe because there's lots of different definitions of off-grid. Describe your off-grid.
Okay. So yeah, our off-grid is, we have no running water. We haul water from our well, and in the summer we catch a lot of rainwater. We have no electric hookup. So we have a very small solar system. We have 300 watt solar panels and a few batteries that in the summer is enough to run a chest freezer.
Okay. And
in the winter months, it's great. We can charge it. We can run a TV sometimes. We can charge all our devices. And then we also have a little Bluetti brand solar generator, I guess you call them.
Okay.
So we charge that up and we can charge our devices off of that. We have little lights like this that we just charge from our solar system.
Okay.
We have a gas generator, but we very rarely use it. Right. We mainly use it in the summer for running tools when we're building.
Okay.
So we haven't fired that up at all this winter, I don't think. Maybe to charge batteries for tools once or twice. But our approach is it's tricky in this off-grid. It's such a diverse label. There's so many ways to do it in this day and age. I still have an iPad and we still have a data connection,
Yeah.
So, we still can stream a movie if we want to, which is
living in two different time zones at the same time periods at the same time.
Yeah, totally. I wish I could show you, but I have my washing machine's an old wooden barrel with a ringer.
I want one of those.
Oh, it's pretty cool. I like it. It's pretty cool. Yeah. But we've always been, a big part of why we are off-grid is that I've always felt that we are, especially as Canadians, especially as more affluent Canadians, we are so consumptive and so wasteful. And I just feel like we're completely out of balance with the life support system that we count on. So a huge part of our off-grid is how do we live in better balance with the earth? Mm-hmm. And a part of that is not deluding ourselves that a solar power system is the answer and it's without toll, because it's mining rare earth minerals and And our solar panels will only last maybe 20 years, and then they are toxic waste.
Yeah.
So we're trying to really focus on as little reliance on those sorts of technologies as possible and kind of weaning ourselves off of them. We were discussing getting a new generator because ours is pretty bad. But like Justin was saying, like, do we really want to keep trying to rely on gas powered? Or should we like go whole hog and try more hand tools and things like that?
Yeah.
So it's a tricky balance, but we're always kind of questioning how we could use less. So we're I call it rustically off grid.
Yeah.
So we, our water, we heat our dishwater on the stove. We catch it in a bucket and then we dump the bucket. So we're very careful about using really not only like biodegradable, but like biocompatible soaps.
Yeah.
That won't, that we can dump out. We have plans for a gray water system in the future. I take a lot of cues from permaculture design. So I have we have this sort of radiating out plan of systems we want to implement. So for now, it's just gray water buckets. But in the future, we'll have a little gray water system with ponds and things like that, hopefully.
That's great.
Yeah.
So are you able to live like this with both of you full-time on the farm, or does someone still have to have an off-farm job?
We both work here and there off-farm. So the way it's worked out last year, our first year, my partner was able to just take the summer off and build and work on things. Oh, there's someone's joining us. Oh, it's Angus. It's my middle boy. And then last year, he was able to get a job at the provincial park, which is about a 15-minute drive from here.
Okay.
And in the summertime, I also help. There's a big hunting and fishing industry around here, so we have a lot of fishing camps in the summer that American tourists primarily come to. So at the end of our road, there's a large fishing camp, and I clean cabins there and they pay me in American cash. So it's called my hay fund. I just save it in a jar, and it pays for all the animal feed for the winter.
Perfect.
Yeah. And then I substitute teach a little during the school year. I still have my teaching certification.
Okay.
So I do a bit of substitute teaching, and we're sort of exploring different, Justin's doing what I call widow work this winter. So there's a few ladies in town who lost their husbands, and he's chopping their wood and cleaning their chimneys and shoveling the snow off their roof. And so we're kind of finding all these small little income streams that can feed into a really frugal lifestyle so that we can be home. We can homeschool the boys, and just do more of what, like, we love having the winter off to just, rest a lot and be calm and quiet and home. And
it's funny. Winter has become my favorite time of year because it is so relaxing and restful. Whereas when I used to be an academic, winter was the worst. You're, grindstone and no daylight. Yeah. Now winter is my favorite season.
I totally agree. It's so bizarre, but it's like, there's no bugs. I'm resting. I'm knitting.
The fire and reading books, and it's nice. Just this huge permission to do what your body wants you to do anyway. Hey, just like, it's dark, it's cold, just lay down with a book. So you have 3 boys, right?
I have 3 boys.
So
my oldest is 8.
Is 8? Yeah. Okay.
And my middle he's 6, he'll be 7 at the end of March, and my youngest is just turned 5.
Yeah. How free range can they be on your property?
They have a lot of freedom to go wherever they'd like, but I think, I'm sure you notice with your girls too, that when you give kids, this less boundaries in terms of exploring their world, they kind of realize where risk is. And so we're in this huge property, and they know that, like, we have wildlife. They know that there's a collapsed well over there. They know there's, like, these dangerous areas, so they stay within sight. I can trust that they'll go on. This year they've gotten a little bolder. In the fall, they went on little hikes to a crabapple tree, and we know where it is. It's out of sight, but I know where it is. And they would take the walkie-talkie and pack their little backpacks. And the dogs, we have guardian dogs. The dogs follow them, and And I get a bit anxious when it's going, oh, they've been gone 40 minutes. Where are they?
Yeah.
But they always come back and they're always safe. They know what to look for. They're, what the sign of where the cabin is, what to look for on the landscape. We talk about all the time. And so they're pretty free range, but they stay way closer to home than we thought they would.
Yeah.
So they're pretty good, but they're kind of indoor cats too. Like, given their choice, they will usually do go in the house. They'll go jump on the trampoline for 30 minutes in the snow, and then they come in and they just want to play Legos or throw their stuffies around and have sword fights and stuff like that.
That's great. And you homeschool, right?
We do. We unschool.
You unschool? Yay!
Yeah, we're unschoolers. Which I'm sure, as you know, like, every few months I get insecure and think I'm not doing it right, and so I try to force a little bit more structure on them, and then they totally revolt, and I go, okay, sorry, you got
my mistake.
Yeah. And then as they're getting a bit older, and I'm sure as you see with the girls, you see these incredible capabilities they have, and their interests starting to take shape.
Yeah. And
it's really something to behold, like, it's my oldest, he's still only 8, but if he wants to sew something now, he knows I'm too busy sometimes to sit down and sew with him. So he's figured out, well, here's the pattern I want to do. He'll trace it, he'll cut it out, he'll cut the fabric, and he'll just sew it himself. He makes little stuffies, and
that's awesome.
And they just, it's very affirming when you watch your kids, that they are capable of learning. They are always learning.
Yeah.
And they're going to get where they need to go,
Yeah.
We just have to be...
We just get out of their way, and they really will do it all by themselves if we let them.
It's true, especially when they have this loving, like, adult in their life who's saying, like, I trust you. You can do this, and you are capable. And substitute teaching is really affirming of that choice, too, because this class environment is, like, school wasn't great when I was little, but it's really weird now. I'm not really sure what to make of it, but I think this school that I substitute teach in is probably one of the best community-wise you could hope for. It's a very small school. Everyone knows each other. The teachers genuinely love and care about the kids and know them really well. And but it's still like, they do literacy in the morning, they do math in the afternoon, and they have a gym period. But they don't do art, they don't do music. There's no geography or history or anything.
Oh, that's a bummer.
It's a real bummer. And I think, the intention is, you can weave that into literacy. But the reality is you don't. They're reading, they're asked to read these really unengaging, not even really well written texts, and they're asked to do a lot of online stuff, because then you can quantify. The school board can look at the results of your students' app use and see where their math is at, or and it's all teaching to these standardized tests. And I love being a substitute teacher because I kind of get to be that wild, wacky hippie lady who's pretty loosey-goosey with the rules, and so the kids that I get on really well.
I think that would be fantastic, because that is the thing that I find whenever I start to have doubts about my unschooling. Anytime we hang out with kids who go to school, then I can see, actually we're not as weird as or we're weird in the right way, or we're not as behind as I thought we were. Like, I find that affirming. So I think that would be nice for you to get that chance to kind of peek into that world and just check, do I still really not want my kids in this world? Yeah,
it's so true. And I think everyone's doing the best they can in such a really hard situation, but it's just, we understand what the hidden curriculum is of why schools really exist, what their purpose is, and it's a hard time. It's a hard time to be a kid.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we're able to let ours be kids, for...
Yeah. Explain that for me, the hidden curriculum.
So the hidden curriculum is this idea that we all think of school as being this essential social support for learning, to make sure all kids get an equal opportunity and have the skills they need to succeed in life. But it's in fact to train a workforce in a capitalist work market,
Yeah.
to teach, obeying authority, to teach like silencing your own needs, in order to follow direction. It's also a really important kind of childcare to free up parents to sell their labor.
Yeah.
So, there's so much filler because meant to impart. Kids learn pretty quick if they're into it.
Yeah.
So a lot of the school day is filler because it's meant to fit the work day.
Yeah.
Not meant to fit like how much time a kid actually needs to practice these things to become proficient in them. And so the hidden curriculum being all of these sorts of norms that
show up on time and sit to the clock and the bell and
Exactly. Yeah. And you all sit down and face me and I'll tell you and you listen. And it's to teach hierarchy and obeying. And that's why we see so many, I think, behavioral issues are kids who push back against that, who don't want, who question authority. And there's all of those sorts of things to do to try and get them in line because no, we want a workforce. And that's what, education was designed to be. Was to train factory workers, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly.
So, the roots of, but it also, it's such an important function for kids who may be in really challenging home environments and don't have a lot of support.
Yeah. So
it can be a great place for kids to get proper meals and to have positive adults in their life and to experience, our school is a big hub for dental care and vaccinations, these public health things happen at school as well. And so, there's all sorts of things going on there that are not just,
like everything,
this is what kids need.
Yeah. Like everything, there's good things and there's bad things.
Yeah.
So what do you think about unschooling? What would you say are the pros and cons of unschooling? What do you think are the things you like the best about it, and what are the things that worry you the most about it or concern you?
Good question. I think what I like best about it is just the incredible connection I have with my kids. Just being with them, really knowing who they are.
Yeah.
Watching them grow into themselves, what their interests are. I love being able to support them being as unique and quirky as they are meant to be. They have no sorts of hang-ups about their bodies or their clothing or anything like that yet.
Yeah, they're not self-conscious about being teased and that sort of thing.
Yeah, they're really being fully themselves. And I love how well I know them and how much I have to learn, that I have to take on this unschooling mentality too.
Yeah, especially if you're also teaching. You're also teaching at the same time, so you're stepping in and out of the mindset. Yeah. That would make it difficult.
Oh, it's tricky. It is. And I'm a bad substitute teacher in the sense that the kids say, oh, I hate this. Why do I have to do this? I'm like, because someone told us to. I know it doesn't matter. Don't worry. You won't use this later. Just do it now. I got really stumped on a math question in grade 6 the other day. She's like, how do I do this? And I was like, oh, I don't know. And she laughed and was like, I'm really not strong in math. And look at me. I'm a grown up with a job.
Yeah.
But then we were able to flip through her notes together and find the note where it says how to work that out. And then it became really clear to me. And I was like, oh, this is easy. And then I could show the other kids and look what I learned and look how easy it is. So I love that I have to humble myself, admit when I don't know something, model how to find that information, model trying and failing and being gentle with myself.
Yeah.
So it's been really transformative to how I talk to myself, how I see my own learning and abilities. So I think that's another thing I love about it is it's transformed my relationship to myself as well. And my understanding of who I am and where I come from and what shapes me. And the hardest things I think are the lack of personal autonomy, being at home with the kids full time, that I sometimes feel like I have all this pent up creativity and things that I'm ready to express.
Yeah.
But I can't necessarily get the time to do that.
Yeah, your plate's pretty full.
Yeah, it's really full. And this lifestyle is lovely, but it's morning and evening chores is about an hour on each end. And then in between, housework takes a little longer in an off-grid situation, and cooking takes a little longer. So by the time your day is, by the time the sun sets, you're like, well, I didn't get anything done except, chores.
Yeah.
So the hardest thing I think is, the lack of support. We don't have childcare. We don't have breaks, So that's challenging. Less so now that we're out here and I have these moments every day where I'm outside and doing the things I love with the animals. But that part's very challenging. Also dealing with like fears around judgment, and fears around that come up all the time of, am I making the right choice? Am I disadvantaging my kids? Am I failing them? Am I doing enough? So that's probably the hardest part of it, I think, for me. But anytime it feels like, I wish I had more time to myself, I think, okay, well, what does that mean? It would mean getting up extra early, getting them to the place where the bus could get them, dealing with those fights every morning.
Yeah, I don't think it's worth it.
Just no. And to get, a couple hours in the afternoon, and I'm still going to be doing chores and cooking,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Is there someone in your life who plants seeds of doubts? Like, do you have people who doubt what you're doing, or are most of the people in your life pretty supportive?
Great question. None are very supportive, oddly enough. They're all, there's an odd dynamic I have with my family. We're quite estranged. My dad comes out once a year to visit, but I have so much baggage. My relationship with my dad is so fraught, but he still makes an effort to come out. He has a camper trailer and he'll come stay for a few nights. And as I mentioned, my mom passed away. My stepmom also passed away. My sister and I have been estranged for the last 5 years. And my brother and I are on good terms, but we just barely communicate. We barely talk. So I never get any feedback from that side of the family. I do have a stepsister who thinks it's really great, but she's very alt-right.
Okay. She's supportive in the wrong way.
In the wrong way. She thinks we're doing this for different reasons.
Yeah.
And it's almost like an insult. Her support is almost harmful. But and then from Justin's side of the family, he's got this beautiful, massive old Métis family from, just southeast Manitoba, and they're pretty incredible in terms of a big family that's constantly feasting and singing and gathering. But they definitely think we're weirdos, but they don't talk to us about it.
Right.
I love conversations about me being a weirdo, and I can get down with that and share why I'm a weirdo, what I believe and why it's important. So it's more of a silence thing that I think amongst each other, they talk about our choices as being poor choices.
Right.
But we never get to address it,
You never get to defend yourself.
Never get to defend myself. So I find when we do get together, we got together for my nephew's birthday. We kind of met in between our homes at a cabin. And it's wonderful. We were eating and laughing. And I find I point out all the time, because my nephew goes to school. So he's already learning to write his name. And my little guy, who's just a year younger than him, is nowhere near writing anything. And so there's always that. I'm pointing out all the amazing things they do. And I'm sitting back watching my middle kid was playing chess with a family friend who was there. And I was like, I have a 6-year-old who plays chess, for crying out loud. Why am I insecure? They can see this too. They can see this too. So I used to find it a lot harder because I wanted to talk about it and defend it and explain it. But everyone was just kind of oh, it's okay. I don't, whatever you want, just do it, So yeah, not really any support, but also not really any roadblocks or feelings of I'm never attacked for it or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 3 little boys, working part-time, living off-grid. How often do you go, this is all too much, I hate this, I just want a normal life again?
Never.
Never?
I've never done it yet. Yeah. I think because, because of my life before, and particularly that last slice of time in Manitoba, I dealt with a lot of postpartum depression and anxiety. I was pretty miserable. And this was always like, we need to get out here. This is where I need to be. I need to be out here. I need my animals. I've always had animals, mostly dogs that I could take with me. But, you know, I knew I wanted to farm. And so maybe part of it was that this was such like the carrot at the end of that long stick. But no, I think some mornings I get up and it's really cold and I really don't want to do chores. But then I get all my gear on and I step outside and I'm immediately just like, oh, this is amazing. Like, I'm getting up to go visit my horses, you know? This is all I ever wanted.
So far, what all animals do you have?
We have sheep. We have Icelandic sheep. We have 4 pigs now that we have full time. We used to just raise them by the, weaners.
Right.
We have breeding pigs now. We have meat rabbits, and we have a miniature mule and 2 Ojibwe spirit horses.
Oh,
which
wow. I've heard about those.
Yeah. Yeah. They're not ours. We're stewards of the breed. So I've made connections with some people at Same River First Nation. They have a breeding program there. They've been huge in bringing the breed back. But Darcy and Kim are getting older, and they're looking for like caretakers to take on the animals and be breeders in the future.
That's
so they're a foster. Cool. Yeah. So they're here, and we pay for their food and keep their feet trimmed. And if we ever can't keep them anymore, they go back to Darcy and Kim. If any vet bills come up, they are there to support us with those as well. But yeah, they're incredible, wonderful animals.
Yeah. That's very cool. Will you do your boys ride?
They do a little bit. These guys are both real nice, steady boys. So we've put them up on them a couple of times, but our place is pretty rough. We don't have like a ring, anything fenced. We have the big pasture that they can ride in, but it's very hilly. Okay. So far it's just been me leading them around on the horses. But yeah, they're learning slowly but surely. They're getting into it, and
that's very cool.
It's fun. Yeah, they just came here in the fall, so they've settled in now, and I'd like to get them driving. They're a really bonded pair, so I thought they'd be great they could help us pull out firewood and we could do like sleigh rides in the winter with the community and stuff.
That's wonderful.
That's my goal. Yeah, teach them to drive. That's my goal.
I'm still impressed that you never have days where you want to give it all up. That's impressive.
Yeah. It's pretty, actually, you know what? I'm speaking from winter Erin too. Like winter Erin is getting rest and my partner's home and doing a lot of the work with me. In the summer, he's kind of away a lot. He worked at the provincial park and then he would work out of town on his days off sometimes. And I did have a few mental breakdowns then when it was just me. But it was still never that there's anything better on the other side, Yeah. It was still just, oddly enough, not a longing for something different, but a longing for more help.
Yeah.
I'm tired of being the only one who dumps the toilet bucket.
Exactly. It's all those chores, the lugging the water and the dumping the buckets. And I can at least like go to my boyfriend's house to do laundry and to bathe, and you don't even have that.
No, it's true. Yeah. Yeah. The laundry, we do bring it to friends' houses as much as possible. Yeah, because the local laundromat, there's a really nice laundromat in Dryden, but it's $9 for a wash and $12 to dry.
You got to really need it to spend that kind of money.
You got to really, really need it. Yeah. But so we do bring the laundry sometimes for friends, to good friends' houses. Yeah. But hauling the water, and hauling the buckets.
Where do you what's your bathing routine? How do you make that work?
Oh, this is it. Well, we've had a camp shower, so it's just like a rechargeable little pump with a shower head. Yeah. We've been doing that for ages, but we've got a little setup now. I wish I could show you behind me, but we got an old shower stall from my brother-in-law. Okay. And you know those big weed sprayers? Yeah. So we got a big stainless steel 3-gallon weed sprayer. We fill that with warm water, and then you pump it up. And we have a little valve, and you turn the valve, and it directs to a shower head. Awesome. Yeah. So that's how we do those. But we still shower far less than we would if we had running water.
It's in a separate building from your main house.
It is, yeah.
Okay.
We are planning an addition. Our hope for this year is to build an addition. If it works out, we'll more than double the footprint of the house right now. And then we'll have an indoor bathroom. Yeah. But right now it's all outdoors.
So to go to the bathroom, you go out to an outhouse?
We have a little potty for the kids or for like overnight. But otherwise it's still go and dump it because, otherwise you get a bucket of frozen stuff that waits for you until the spring. Yeah. So it's still an outhouse sort of situation for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a bit rough, but it's good. The trade-off, I keep thinking, like, my kids are really interested in flush toilets right now, especially our youngest, because we moved out here. He was just turned 3. So he doesn't really remember that we had a flush toilet. So we had a funny situation over Christmas. I stayed here to look after the farm, and Justin took the boys to his parents' place for Christmas. And when they'll finish an apple or they'll peel an orange, and we say, just throw it in the toilet because it's compost, you know? And so he finished his apple and went and threw it in their flush toilet and clogged the toilet with his apple. And he's really interested in flush toilets lately. So we talk about, like, why are there sewers and what is a septic tank? And, and I, of course, my own values come out where I say, like, we shouldn't use drinking water for poop,
Yeah.
So we were at our neighbor's and he was using the toilet and he said, Mom, is this a sewer toilet? And I said, it's a septic toilet. He's like, that's the worst, Mom. Like, that's not good. It's fine. Don't tell them it's not okay. It's okay. It's fine. But composting's great. We're glad we compost.
Yeah. But if you even think about that, the average kid will never ask, how does a toilet work? It's just there. That's true. They just accept it and they never even think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas your kids think about it.
Yeah. And then I have to think about it too and say, like, well, if you live in a city and not everyone can compost, you'd get sick. There's too much bacteria around and storm runoff and all this, So we have to talk about all the complications too. Like, this is great for us. This works for us, Yeah.
That's great. Now, so you were talking about you've got this plan to build the addition and you have so many plans for your farm. How good are you at estimating how much you can accomplish in any given length of time?
Oh, terrible. We're so bad at it. Yeah. Yeah. I find your videos so affirming because it's like, oh, good. Other people have 90% of their list not accomplished, Yeah, we're terrible at that. And this year, bless his heart. It's like, okay, we have a house and now I'm going to just load up on animals before we have any infrastructure. So I was so desperate to get my critters. So we had so much going on last year. And this year I keep saying we're just focusing on the addition. That's all you have to do. But I do need to start the rotational grazing, and we are going to try a garden this year. And I got those 2 greenhouses I have to set up. And
oh, really? Just the addition. Just the addition.
But just the addition. Yeah. So.
And I feel like each year I'm like, no, this year I'm going to be a little more reasonable with my expectations. And I still only accomplish like 40% of it. Yeah. And you realize that still is way too much, especially like, we don't have worker bees. We don't have barn raisings. We don't have big families all, we're all trying to make it work. Yeah. And that's, so much of the folks I see these days who really are interested in off-grid life. It's this idea of like, I'm going to escape. I'm going to get away from people and it's going to be so much better. And it's like, you can't make life work without people. No. Like, we need each other so much. Yeah, nobody has ever done this alone. Like,
that's right.
Even when you read the Little House on the Prairie books, they still weren't alone.
No, that's it. There's always people helping. And it's so much, things go so much better when you have people helping. Like, the few times we had some folks come by to help with stuff, it's incredible what you can get done.
Yeah.
When it's not like, a person juggling childcare and another person who's trying to do it all themselves. And yeah, it's we're really, really interested in like how land sharing could work too. So it's hard to figure it out. But with my background in cooperative housing, and I was part of a workers co-op in the past, I really love the potential of the cooperative model. So I've contacted a First Nations community down the road from us about like cooperative farming, because food security is such a thing. And of course, like around here, so many people still hunt and fish, but we have like, we're on behind our property runs the Wabigoon River. And the Wabigoon River, it starts just west of us and it passes the Dryden paper mill, and then it flows up north through our community to the lake at the end of our road, Clay Lake, and beyond. And at some point in the past of that mill, people buried a lot of toxic mercury, basically. Okay. So every spring, the thaw brings new washes of mercury into the river, and it's really, I mean, if you do any Googling, the community of Grassy Narrows has been incredibly hard hit by the mercury poisoning. And it's really bad in the lake up here and in our fish up here. So a lot of people still hunt and fish, but a lot of people get sick from the hunting and the fishing too. And we've got like, they're wanting to bury nuclear waste just down the road from us.
Of course.
So awesome. We're in this watershed area. There's a massive movement of like really organized pushback called We the Nuclear Free North. But this great advocacy group trying to push back against this. But the land isn't doing so well out here. There's a lot of old mines that were left to ruin without, a lot of government oversight and cleaning up and things like that. So we've got a lot of chemicals in our ecosystems, and a lot of people can't get out on the land to hunt like they used to because, it's hard. A lot of it depends on access to gasoline powered vehicles, and that takes money, and even guns and ammunition takes money. And for like, say a single mom to get out on the land is tough. And there's only so much moose to go around. And I mean, people share, but there's only so much to go around. So food security and community food security is kind of on our mind too, how to share the land and perhaps put it in a trust, have a land trust set up to protect, because we have the mineral and the lumber rights, which is rare for a lot of properties. Oh wow! You get the surface rights, but you can, but a mining company can buy your mineral rights and literally like mine your land without you have no recourse if you don't own the mineral rights. So we're really fortunate. We own the mineral rights and the lumber rights. And we're in a really gold rich area. We have gold mines, 40 minutes in either direction.
Oh, wow.
Actually, in 3 directions, because Red Lake at the end of our road, an hour and a half north, there's a big gold mine too. So we're really grateful that we have all that as part of the ownership. So we're thinking a lot about land trusts in the future, and and how to work together more, and how to like bring more people into the fold to work together.
That's very cool.
And build things. Yeah.
So are you envisioning like inviting people to live on your land, or to people to farm your land, or?
We're really not sure. We're so open to multiple conversations, but it being of use. We love the idea of housing, especially in this part of the world. Really anywhere, I guess. There's a real big lack of affordable housing, and a lack of like affordable elder care options. So we're really not sure. We're kind of leery of like, we don't want to fall into that kind of eco village model that we've seen so far, at least, because it tends to be really like middle class and white, and not really necessarily, I don't know, the kind of vibe we want to go for. We're really into decolonization and getting back to like supporting people who are not being supported well by our society,
right?
Whatever that looks like. So we're still really, there's so much going on. We're just in the dreaming phase, and we're trying to reach out and talk to people and figure out what that's going to look like. But I think a good place to start is the farming. So whatever food we can grow, and just dispersing that throughout our region, not, for affordable price, or if, come and work the land with us, come and take what you grow, but help make the land more fertile. And
this is neat because when you have 200 acres, that's more than you could use. So
yeah,
it really kind of opens you up. You have to just think carefully what exact plan you want to go with. So you'll probably want to roll it around in your minds for a few years and see what happens.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and we want the boys to be able to stay here if they want to build homes here if they want to and stuff too. So yeah, it's a lot. We're all kind of, and sometimes, with the state of the world, we feel this real sense of urgency sometimes, and we're kind of panicking and like, what do we do? How do we help? How can we be of service? And then you have to step back and be like, okay, really, we can't invite people to come out here and not have a home and like water. And, we can't just, we're not an oasis yet, or is that something we want to be? It's hard to know for sure. But it's really cool to be in this position. We feel really privileged that we have this kind of foundation now to work from.
Yeah. It's Justin, right? Your husband is Justin?
Yes.
So you seem to be really on the same page about a lot of things. Yeah. Did he already sort of have these dreams before you came along, or did you introduce him to the whole concept and he embraced it, or?
A little bit of both, I think. Like, he knew, his mom used to tell this story, like, she would say, you have to go to school, you have to get a job. And he'd say, why? Like, oh, so you can live. He's like, I'll just live in the ditch. I'll just live in the bush here. And she's like, you can't just live in the bush in the yard. Why can't I just live in the yard, So he knew he never wanted to follow that. He studied music. He had to go to university. It was expected of him. So he studied music. And then he did the forest firefighting and would travel. And so he knew he didn't want status quo life.
Yeah.
And he loved the boreal forest, this area where we're in too, he had fallen in love with. So those things we were on the same page about. But I think he was really, when I met him, I noticed he was already like, stood apart from the other people he was clearly, had feminist values. He clearly had like anti-racist values. He was a good person and he was a kind person. But he hadn't really thought much about the politics of it and the environmental impact side of it. And so I think I really pushed things in this direction. I think he said that if left to his own devices, he probably would have lived a more expected life,
Yeah.
But he's very glad to be here too. And he's becoming engaged in his own ways too. And he has his own values kind of developing and wrapped up in what we're doing as well. And they're not exactly the same, but he's really supportive and he's a great cheerleader. So I've been able to kind of push my agenda a little bit and have great conversations about it. And he's always, for the most part, he's like, yeah, this sounds good. This is good. This is what we should be doing. Yeah.
It's great to find that.
yeah, it's very lucky.
You see a lot in the like off-grid Facebook groups. You see a lot of people like, I really want to do this, but my husband doesn't, or I really want to do this, but I can't find a woman who wants to. And so to find each other, that's a good luck.
It is. I think I met him, I was 31 when I met him too.
Okay.
So he's a bit younger than I am, but he's 5 years younger. So when I met him, I had lived a bunch of places and I had been an activist and I had all these things under, that I wanted to do. And I think we connected really well. And he was like, well, I want to be with her. Let's do this. She's got an agenda. He was a good person who knew he didn't want to live a status quo life too. So away we went. Yeah. The homeschooling is that's one place where when things get really tough, he's like, we need to put them in school.
Right.
So like, no, slow down here. We're not going to do that yet, But he's getting on board too, more and more, as he's seen how it unfolds as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's huge. I don't think I wouldn't be here if it weren't for him. Mm-hmm. And he wouldn't be here if it weren't for me. So, yeah.
And your boys have never expressed an interest in going to school?
No, not yet. My oldest, I sometimes think he's really social. He loves, he's really good at getting along with everybody. And he's, he would be a great student in that he would listen, he would sit, he would be quiet. But yeah, I think yeah, it would break his spirit too. He's so sensitive, and you know, he's a bit of a perfectionist. So if he gets something wrong, he takes it really personal. And so far, no, so far they haven't, but we might have to cross that bridge in the future. I'm thinking as they get into their older years, if they really want to, then we have to, like, unschooling. You can unschool and your kid can go to school. I think it's so much about your mentality and your family culture and the way you see the world.
Yeah.
And the way you treat the learning that happens in school. And so we'll see. We're not married, we're not, we're really open to how things unfold. But for now, when they're young, I'm kind of flexing my, like, no, I want to do this. I want to try this kind of muscle. So
exactly.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the stuff they learn in school at this age isn't that important. It's really just sit down, shut up, do as you're told.
Yeah, and he's not good at that. Like, he does not, they do not just do what I say. They push. That's one thing too. You're like, oh, I'm raising such strong-willed children. And you're like, which is great and so challenging.
Like when you're an adult, I want you to be exactly like that. But right now, could you just do this thing that I'm asking you to do?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, okay, good. That's good. That's a good thing that you're questioning me all the time. And please stop.
I'm tired. Just leave me alone.
No, it's just no, okay? Yeah.
Okay, well, I can't think of any more questions. I think that was a fantastic interview.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Erin. I'm so glad we got to talk. And that was Erin. Wasn't that a really great story? I just want so badly to go see her place. I want to pack up my car, drive up north, and go check out what she's doing up there because it sounds really neat. It's hard to... I've said this before. I learned about Erin because she watches my YouTube channel, and she reached out to me one day because there aren't a lot of people like us, which is to say, people who are interested in left-wing politics, feminism, decolonialization, and also living off-grid and growing their own food and so on and so forth. It's a very niche market. So when she felt like maybe she had found a kindred spirit, she reached out to me. And so we've been emailing back and forth a little bit over the past year or so. So one of the things that I find frustrating about having a YouTube channel is that I put all of my information out there, and so people watch me and they get to learn everything about me, but I want to know about them. I want them to have a YouTube channel. I want to see what they're doing. I want to peek into their lives. So I'm just going to have to visit everybody. So I've already interviewed Bruno a little while ago, and I've already said, well, we're going to have to go to Brazil to visit him. So thankfully Erin's a little bit more convenient. I mean, Northern Ontario isn't exactly convenient. It's still probably about a 2-day drive to get to her place. But maybe I'll get to go see one day what she's doing up there. I think it's going to be really neat to see. I found it really impressive that she said that she never wishes to have a normal life. I wish that often. I wonder, though, if part of it is that I live half the time in my boyfriend's house, which is a normal house, and then I live the other half of the time in my house, which is not a normal house. So I'm constantly shifting back and forth between the two different realities. Maybe it would be a lot simpler if I just lived permanently in one reality, and then I would have a bit more of a routine and I'd find my groove a little bit more. I think it also makes a difference that she has a partner. She has another adult in the thick of it with her, and that they're teammates together living that life. And I think that would be a really nice thing to have, somebody who's, on the same page and working towards the same goal with you. I think that's a really lovely that they have each other for that. One of the things Erin mentioned when talking about unschooling was the idea of the hidden curriculum. So when you think about mainstream schooling, there's the surface curriculum, which is, history and math and English and that sort of thing. And then there's the hidden curriculum, which is what's underneath, which is training children to follow the rules of a classroom. And when I was running a home daycare, I was already being sort of encouraged to do that groundwork for kids. That's kind of what preschools are. It's trying to train kids into the schedule of a classroom atmosphere, which is trying to train kids into the atmosphere of an employer, showing up on time, coming even when you're sick, coming even when you're tired, putting in the work whether you want to or not, responding to the bell, respecting authority. And then there's one other thing that she didn't touch on that occurred to me as I was rolling the whole idea around in my head, is that it also really, part of the hidden curriculum is also individualism and competition, like really just sort of pitting kids against each other. And there's not, some schools are quite good at encouraging community, but the very fact of sticker charts and grades and ranking, it really kind of undermines any efforts to build a collective identity or a community responsibility. It really feeds into the sort of individualistic society that we have as a whole. So that's not a correction. It was just what she said got me thinking. There are a lot of, when it comes to unschooling, there are a lot of sort of, you can dive into really, there's a lot of literature that really shits on mainstream school, if I can be rude, that really portrays it as an underhanded program disguising itself as something pure. I haven't really dived into that literature. I'm not really interested in having any more hatred for the system than I already do, because it's complicated, right? We live in a world that relies on these systems, and if you function outside of those systems, you can never really succeed in this world. So as an unschooling mom, I have this constant argument with myself of like, on the one hand, I do want my children to have successful, comfortable lives, but on the other hand, this system is harmful, and it's hard to find where to find the balance. So I've intentionally avoided going all the way down the unschooling rabbit hole. So I don't think about that side of things a lot. But yeah, she definitely had me kind of thinking about all the different things, all the extra skills that children are taught in school besides reading, writing, and arithmetic and those sorts of things. I think the life that Erin is building for her family is absolutely beautiful. And I'm really proud of her. And I really hope that... So Erin, like me, comes at this from a place of sustainability. I can see the destructive impact that human activity is having on this planet, and I have decided to take a radical step of trying to live as much as possible without any of these destructive practices that have become normal in society. And it's really a very hard thing to do, and it takes a lot of courage. And most of the people who do live off-grid are doing so from kind of a more of a prepper, kind of like society is going to collapse and we should be prepared so that we can survive the societal collapse. It's really quite individualist. It's really like the world can screw itself and I will be fine. Whereas the way that Erin and I come at it is very much about the world needs to change for the better. I'm going to lead by example. I am going to intentionally choose to live a more difficult life, because that's what we all need to do in order for this planet to survive, in order for the ecosystems that we rely on to survive what we are doing to them. So I'm really glad to be platforming someone who is doing that sort of thing, who is really making self-sacrifice for the good of humanity, as opposed to sacrificing humanity for the good of myself. And that's really my thoughts on this. I love to hear your feedback. I love to hear what you think about Erin's life and about our conversation. And if you are interested in ever appearing on my podcast, or if you know someone who would be really interesting for a conversation on my podcast, please reach out to me. Thank you very much, everybody. I'll see you next time. Take care.